Hello, and so glad you could join us. A very warm welcome to you. Although, if you're in Johannesburg at the moment, you do not need a warm welcome because the temperatures are scorching. You could do with a nice, ice cold, cool welcome, I'm sure. I'm Paul Rotherham. It's lovely to have you with us for this edition of the Coaching Hour podcast, brought to you in proud partnership with Coaches Network South Africa. For the next 25, 30 minutes or so, we'll be entertaining you, informing you, and hopefully giving you some insights into things that you didn't know, because we're joined by another wonderful guest in this edition of our podcast. I'm joined by my friends and colleagues, Marika and Mary from Coaches Network South Africa. Lovely to have all of us here, and lovely to be winding down the year slowly but surely as well. So I'm sure this will be one of our last podcasts for 2024. Can you believe that? Christmas just around the corner. Marika, who do we have the pleasure of chatting with today?
Thank you, Paul. Yes, we have Vanessa Botha with us today. She's the only owner, this that time of the year, Journey to Health. She's a nutritional advisor and health coach. Welcome, Vanessa. It's so lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Marika, for this opportunity to share some, like Paul said, some things that people might or might not know, or I might just remind them of some stuff that they might have forgotten about.
Thank you, Vanessa. Before we get into the topic for today, please tell everybody that's listening and watching, who's Vanessa? How did you get into this industry? But also importantly, what is a nutritional advisor? And as a health coach, what do you actually do?
Wonderful. Thank you for the question. When I was in high school, I used to be very thin and I used to struggle a lot with my weight. I was very, very thin, so malnutrition. And my parents never knew what was wrong with me because we ate the same foods. And then after school, I went overseas and I fell victim to emotional eating and I gained 20 kilograms in 3 months. My skin almost burst open. And when I got back to South Africa, the doctor said to me at the age of 19, he said to me, Vanessa, if you're going to continue on this way and we put you on chronic medication now, you won't have a quality of life and you might not even see the age of 30. So that I got a real big scare. And sometimes I wish doctors were more honest with their patients to actually tell them really what's wrong with them and not just send them on their way with things. But then my journey started basically at the age of 19. I decided I'm going to do a nutritional advisory course and to get the facts from the books. And since then, I've also qualified as with an international diploma, and I'm currently enrolled as well because the nutrition industry changes so much. Every day they find out new things. Then eggs are good for you. Then eggs are not good for you. Then this is good. Then. And a lot of times my clients say, and I ask them, who is they? Is there a medical journal? What is the proof? Is there documentary about it? Because there's so much false information in schools and out there currently, and everyone is looking for that quick fix. And unfortunately, we are well-oiled machines, and it's what we do on a regular basis that actually makes the difference. Now, at the age of 20, I decided that I'm not going to pay the gym is going to pay me, and I qualified as a group and spinning instructor. So I gave about 7 classes a week, and the people came to me for advice on nutrition. At that time, I was working at the bank, and I realized this is my passion and my purpose. But a lot of times people say, do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. So I continued my analytical background in the banking industry while assisting people while I was doing my spinning classes. So I was running my practice after hours and on Saturdays. And to educate myself, I also entered for the mile, for a triathlon, for a fitness competition, because I want to be equipped in all the areas. And I also have my own children, married as well. And it took me 3 years to get my health back. And also with life challenges, things go up and down, got married, then what they call the first year university fat. So the first year marriage fat. So I gained a little bit of fat again, and then I had to lose it again. Then I started went full time into my business. So what am I trying to say? Life challenges hits you every time you try to do something new. And a lot of the people watching here today might have been going through huge things this year. Some of them, some of my friends have gone through a divorce, some of them through trauma, and they had to get trauma counseling. But even the smallest things, saying goodbye to someone unexpectedly or even expectedly, then we forget about ourselves and we just do what we have to do to survive. And I've also been in that situation. And what I realized is I have met so many people in this industry that have taken my hand and helped me. And now I've got this gift and I cannot hold it to myself. I need to extend my hand to others to also help them up. Now I'm 42 on the 20th of December. And at the age of 30, I decided I'm going to leave the banking industry where I was a manager and decided, no, I'm going to go into my practice full time because I saw how many people really needed help. And I was also pregnant at that stage with my daughter. So that was another challenge on itself. And what that taught me is when you go through something and you experience things with other people, you can actually then advise when other people go through that same situation. Now, my practice is here in Ferry Glen, Pretoria, and what I do on a daily basis, I see individuals from mommies that want to become pregnant, from mommies or women that want to get married and want to be healthy and not gain that first year weight. I also have students from Stellenbosch that sees me online and in person, very sick individuals. And I've also got a client, Dr. Louis Beneke, which is he's a mechanical engineer at Technikon. He does triathlons. He was diagnosed wrongly with Parkinson's last year. And he basically, the work said to them, he's not going to see December. And we've been walking a journey since February till now. And he's a completely different person. He's done a few Ironmans this year. And basically, what I helped him with is to retrain or re-educate him on daily activities, what's important and why it's important, but also how to implement it. All this information is available to all of us on internet, on YouTube, but they lack to tell you how are you going to implement into your daily life. And that is how I assist individuals as their accountability partner to say, listen, let me take your hand twice a month or even more and say, okay, what have you done? How have you done it? How can we do it differently? But I've got machines here that actually track what's going on in your body. So, Mareka, if you drink 2 glasses more of water per day, I can show you within 2 weeks how your organs' vitality has changed, how your absorption has changed, how the fat in your organs have changed, everything. So I am what I call a scientific, technologically blood-based nutritional advisor because I like to use data to show you because a lot of times when we feel something, it's not actually what's happening inside our bodies. And then we eat something wrong, but then our emotion actually deteriorates even further. But then to get back up again, that is the struggle. And some of my clients have said to me, Vanessa, previously I would go off a diet, which I recommend, and then I would just leave it, and then I would go gain the 10 kilograms again. But because I knew I had to see you again in 2 weeks, I realized I needed to get back on the wagon. And for the first time in, I think, 47 years, she said to me, she actually is keeping to something that is easy to implement, easy to understand. Because a lot of times when something happens to our body, we don't know why. And when your car breaks, do you try to fix it yourself watching a YouTube video? No, you go to an expert that has gone through it, that has years and years and years of experience to actually assist people. Now,
Vanessa,
nutritional advisor, yes,
if I may jump in just quickly,
yes.
I just want to take you back very briefly to when you said you went overseas. You
Mm.
were within a normal family, everybody ate well, or at least ate the same sort of foods. It might not have been well if you look back on it now. But my question is, how did you put on 20 kilos in 3 months when you went overseas? What changed?
Easy. If anyone tells me they can't gain weight, please come and see me because I help people lose weight and gain weight and vitality. Now, I went au pairing. So first time out of the house, bright and blue, a brown eye girl, and I lived with a family in New York. And it was great. There was pizza, $1 for this slice of pizza. And I was au pairing, and our parents tell us, finish your plate. Moenie mors nie. And what I used to then do is I used to eat the food of the children because they're not allowed to not eat. But the parents were very health conscious. They were a Jewish family. But when we went out, what did we eat? Pizza, donuts. The ladies got together at Dunkin' Donuts every evening at 7 o'clock for coffee and donuts. And
Sure.
then at 11 o'clock, the day was hard. I would eat Jerry's ice cream with a Whaley's chocolate muffin with a chocolate mousse and watch Friends and Everybody Loves Raymond. But I didn't gain the weight in the first week, not in the second week, not in the third week, not in the fourth week. But at the fifth week, I think my body was so overwhelmed with the toxins because I was doing that every night or every second day that my body just couldn't handle anymore. And then it just started packing, 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 packing. And eventually my trainer was Lewis at the gym, Bally's gym. And he looked at me one day, he said to me, Vanessa, what's happening? Every time I see you, you get fatter. And I
Yo.
said, I don't know. And then I started trying eating healthy. But it was too late because then you get depressed and you eat again. And I didn't realize it because if you wear loose clothing, you don't realize it until you see yourself on a photo and you realize, listen, my mom walked past me in the airport. She didn't recognize me because I looked like this. I have a
Wow.
photo of it. It looked like bees stung me in my whole face. But we don't realize we're going down the wrong path until someone tells us, listen, stop. When you lose weight, Paul, everyone says to you, yes, Paul, you look amazing. What's happening? What are you doing? But when you start putting on weight, does anyone tell you, Paul, what's happening? What's wrong? What's
Mm.
going on? We don't. We're too scared to take someone's hand. And sometimes it's just that caring touch that actually changes someone's whole life. But to also just add to that, I missed my family extremely. So it was also part of emotional eating, being away from family and everything like that.
Okay. Makes sense. I think comfort eating is something we all struggle with.
For
And
sure.
when you're in a rush, I know a lot of people listening here is like, Vanessa, I don't have time for breakfast. I give my kids food, but I don't eat. Oh, I'm in court the whole day, or I am on the road the whole time. Guess what? I've got clients from accountants to lawyers to business owners to high-end clients that I can't mention their names that I've assisted in putting things in place that helps you to, like Paul is doing now, to drink water even while we're doing a podcast, to have your lunch with you. And there are strategies and processes and systems. I mean, I think all of us will agree. How do you build a business? How do you grow a business? With systems, systemizing things. And your health is also your business. If you've ever heard the saying, your health is your wealth. And that is
Mm.
very true because once you're sick, and once you're off for a week, your business most of the time continues. But if you're off for extended periods of time, your business might have a hard knock. But a lot of people are sick, but they're a little bit sick all the time. And this is what we call chronic inflammation. And when they are on chronic medication, that's when has gone to that stage. But before they get there, they might have a little bit of joint pain, back pain, knee pain, headaches. Their eyes are tearing all the time. Their mouths are dry. They don't go to the bathroom every single day. So all these things are risk factors telling you, listen, your machine, your car, it needs the oil, the water, the service, the brakes, the tires, the air, everything inside of it. And like Marika does with her coaching, it's mental as well, because what we eat is mostly mental and emotional. A lot of people say to me, Vanessa, I know exactly what to do, but why can't I keep up with it? And numbers do the talking. There's a saying that I always say is, what gets measured can be managed, and what can be managed can improve. A lot of the time, we just set ourselves aside and we focus on everybody else except ourselves. And one of my 7 keys that I give the people is prioritizing yourself. before everybody else, even before your kids, even before your husband. Because if you are dying, you can't help anyone. My dad died at the age of 59. I'm 42, almost 42 now. I mean, if I take that, that's in a few years' time. And he just never looked after himself. He looked after everybody else, but not after himself. So that is my turning point in my business that I decided, you know what? People are doing things that they're not supposed to do, and it helps when they have little things that they can do every day. Have any one of you read Atomic Habits before?
Mm,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. If so, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, please do go get the audiobook. And there's a lot of little tips and tricks like habit stacking. People
Mm.
say to me they don't have time to exercise. I say, okay, great. Do you brush your teeth every day? And they look at me like, Vanessa, duh. And I said to, okay, how long do you brush your teeth? Let's say 2 minutes. In that 2 minutes, can I give you 10, I call it the 10 by 10 by 10. 5 exercises that you only do 10 of, and it will take you less than 2 minutes while you brush your teeth. And they're like, okay, that I can do. And even that little change makes a huge difference in their muscles, in their fat, in their brain capacity, bringing the oxygen to the brain. I mean, little things like that can make a huge change. And in the book, it talks about the 1% change. If you could do anything 1% differently today, even if it's bad or good, remember it's going to have an effect tomorrow. But again, tomorrow you have another opportunity. We only have today. And the best story I can share with the listeners and watchers today about today, there was a radio interview with a guy that stopped smoking. And the interviewer asked him, okay, but how long have you stopped smoking? He said, just for today. And they went on and on and on. And the interviewer said, you haven't answered my question. How long has it been since you stopped smoking? Again, he answered, just for today. And then the interviewer got irritated and he said, listen, answer my question now. Why are you just saying just for today and you're not giving us a number? And he said, because yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not here. I just stopped smoking for today. It's been 10 years just for today. And that's what I want to tell the listeners out there today is just for today, try to drink a glass of water every hour. Just for today, try to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just for today, take 5 minutes, go and stand bare feet on the grass outside, drink a cup of tea, and watch the leaves or the birds fly by just for today.
Yeah, that's quite powerful. We didn't even get to the topic yet. We've been having a discussion and we've been so drawn into, our conversation that we didn't even mention it yet. So today we actually want to talk about, a few nutrition tips for the new year to avoid burnout, because the things that you are mentioning is not just for your physical health and not to get sick. I've worked with many, many people this year, especially that was burnt out, and since the beginning of this year, actually. And I think it's a very, very important strategy to plan ahead for the new year, not to get into that burnout by March already.
Definitely. So on that, some of my clients come back January healthier, okay? Because in December, we're warming up to January and February and March, like you say. In December, people actually sleep more because they might be on holiday, they might be at home, they don't work till 2 o'clock in the morning. People eat more regularly, where sometimes they don't eat for the whole day and they only eat once, or they binge eat. But on holiday, most of them eat with breakfast with family, lunch, and dinner with family. And also they drink more water because they move and they move a lot more than just sitting still. Then they say to me, but December was amazing. I did all these things. I said, okay, how are you going to continue this in January, February, March? And so many times I get people in here by February and they say, oh my goodness, we're only February and I can't handle this. Or how am I going to deal with this? And planning is that what they're saying is what if you plan to fail, you fail to plan, or if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And what I tell people is If you can do something in the holiday, like going to bed at 10 o'clock and waking up after 4, try and continue doing that in January. And also your work hours, there's the 8-8-8 principle. Here's another tip for the people to plan better. 8-8-8. Now, sleep 8 hours, work 8 hours, and do whatever the hell you want for the other 8. So if you think about that, you've got 8 hours that sometimes we don't have, we can't account for. But once you start documenting it, what are you doing? I'm not saying you have to work 8 hours continuously. Some of us have to do different things in between. But if you start logging your time, if you're working 12 to 14 to 16 hours a day, something's got to give. And it's not going to be your boss. It's not going to be your client. It's going to be your body. Last week, we lost a colleague of ours to a heart attack. He was supposed to do a presentation that morning, and the previous evening, his body just gave in because he was chasing this dream, and the dream was a reality. But once it was actually actualized, he had to give it to his children. So that's what I want to tell the people here today. Your sleep is important. Prioritize your sleep, definitely. And also your work. If something is very important, yes, do it. But communication as well. A lot of times we feel that we can't say no, or we need to do extra, extra, extra. Guess what? Do what you can do in the time. And the life coaches, this I learned from another life coach, is time blocking. When I need to do something, do an hour. Say I've got an hour, or if I've got 15 minutes, do it as quickly as possible and move on to the next task. Another thing on time blocking and planning is when you go to sleep at evening. A lot of people say, but I do my best work at 10 o'clock at night. You know why? Because you feel like you've got all the time in the world. I would rather say, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, then you've only got an hour and you do it much quicker and faster. Now, from the nutritional side of you, now your sleep. Why am I banging on sleep? If you don't sleep, you will not lose fat. You will not gain muscle. Your body will go into water retention. You are a higher risk at diabetes and depression, as well as heart and mental disorders. Then we get to the nutritional side of it. So sleep is very important. The nutritional side is food and water. Now, food, if you have literally 7 minutes in the morning to make oats, have the oats. You can even prepare it before the time. You can prepare oats for the whole week. You can have, if you've got a domestic worker working for you, you can ask her to prepare it. You can teach her how to prepare it for you. Even when I was au pairing, I had to cut up the fruit for the family. And it was in buckies, always in the fridge. The father, he was a lawyer when I was there, a copyright lawyer. And he would get to the fridge, he would put his stuff in the bowl, he would sit with us for 10 minutes, have his breakfast with his children, and then he would go to work. Nothing stops us from prioritizing 10 minutes in the morning with whoever's living with you or with yourself to enjoy the food, feel the food, appreciate the food. Then lunch. Let's talk about lunch. People say, but I don't have a microwave, or I'm on the road a lot and everything like that. Guess what? And they eat a lot of takeaways. There are healthier options out there, like, for example, Nando's, that you can go through and you buy a hot pot, or you can buy chicken and coleslaw. So it's what you do on a regular basis. So lunch, even if you go into Woolworths, buy the chicken and the veggies. They've got a microwave there as well. And dinners. Sometimes we don't plan ahead. And we get home and we say, oh, ek is so moeg. What are we going to eat? Let's go eat out, or let's just get takeaway. When you have food already prepared and frozen in the fridge, in little containers, it's 2 minutes to 4 minutes to defrost something. Like mince. We make a big pot of mince every now and then we store it in the fridge in little containers and big containers. So depending on who's eating with us or we're alone, we can always defrost that. The same with pasta, the same with rice. You can prepare your own TV dinners in the fridge. Fruit and vegetables. So people, a lot of time when I say to them, did you have your 2 fruits a day? They say no. I say, why? I forgot to buy them. If it's not in your house, you will not eat it. So it's very important to do that habit stacking that I was talking about. I was telling a client this morning, on a Sunday, we have a routine. As a family, we go to Parrots, we have breakfast together. Around the corner, there's a Checkers. We go into the Checkers, we buy our food for the week. Then we go home, we put it in the fridge, and we prepare it as a family for the week. So there's little things that you can do, and that's a system. To get a system in place. And as a family, or when you're living alone, or you're living with a partner, or even if you're sharing a communal area, sit together and decide, listen, Mondays we do chicken. Tuesdays we do fish. Wednesdays we do pastas. And Thursdays and Fridays we braai. So then we know, okay, listen, we're going to do chicken every Monday. Okay, guys, let's see what chicken recipes we can do for Monday. Instead of just opening the fridge and like, waarvoor is ek lus? What am I in the mood for? Sometimes we shouldn't react on how we feel, but rather than what we must do. And once you start eating healthy for 3 days, it's hell because you're changing something. But I can promise you, day 4, you will feel so amazing that you will never want to go back to day 1. But we are creatures of habit, and we always say, how long can you put your arms the other way around? Before you know it, we always go back to our comfort. And there's then a conscious decision to keep on eating healthy because now we feel great. Then we order pizza, then we order wine, then we do this. But then slowly but surely we drift back into that we're just surviving mode. And we're not supposed to just be surviving in 2025. We're supposed to be thriving because every one of us have a gift. We have a service that we deliver, and we cannot give the best if our bodies aren't in the best shape.
Very true. Thank you, Vanessa. I think this is a topic that one can actually go into so many different directions. You've mentioned earlier there's one of your 7 principles or something. So I think to wrap up our session, if you can maybe just tell everybody that's listening, what are those, just briefly, what are those 7 principles that you usually teach?
Wonderful. That's a great topic to end off with. If something's too complicated, people are not going to remember it. So I've got clients from the age of 3 to the age of 93. So, and all walks of life. And through all my studies and all my experience, I've come down to the 7 principles. And you remember the 10111 and the okay when you go diving. So I use this sign a lot. The first one is your food. Number 1 is your food, not number 1 exercise. Number 1 is your food. Notice what you eat, how much you eat. And remember, good food, or I say God-made food, you can eat as much of that as you want. It's not that food and fruits that actually makes us fat. Dis die cookie en die koffie en die dit en die dat en die cappuccinokie hier and daar. Those are the things that actually make us unhealthy. Number 2, water. Women 2.75, men 3.75 every day before. I always say 2 liters before 1 o'clock. If you can do that gradually and then keep to that routine, you will see that in the afternoons you're no more longer tired. There's a lot like you say, we can say about that, but that's just my one tip there. Number 3 is sleep. And I've already extensively talked about that. So if you've missed the first part, please go back in the podcast. Then number 4. Okay, so this is and also the heart. This is the prioritization. If you don't look after your physical heart, your emotional heart, and prioritize yourself, that is what's going to give in at the end of the day, because that pumps your blood. Then number 5, that is exercise. Not number 1, 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day is better than 0 minutes a day. Number 6, and the exercise you enjoy, but you have to do it at least 5 minutes. Number 6 is basically making sure that you are consistently doing the same thing over and over again. Olympic athletes, why are they in top shape? They eat exactly at the same time. They sleep, they drink water. So your timing is very, very, very important. And then lastly, number 7, whatever you watch, listen to, eat, speak, drink, do now will affect your body and your mind and your future in the next 7 seconds, 7 minutes, 7 hours, 7 days, 7 months, and 7 years. So that is very important. Whenever you see a 7, remember, be self-aware. What am I doing? How am I doing it? Check in with yourself so that you make sure you look after yourself. Put that oxygen mask on yourself first before assisting others. Thank you, Marika.
Thank you. Oh,
Oh, is it me now to
it's
conclude? Well,
you.
Well, I
thank you
didn't say
very, very
anything.
much.
I just listened.
Yeah,
I,
we were very attentively listening.
I think I've consumed nearly 750 mils of water just in this podcast, so I'm at least doing one thing right, according
Yes.
to Vanessa. Vanessa at journeytohealth.co.za. Thank you very much for being our guest today. To you, thank you for watching and listening. Remember, if you are in the coaching space and you would like to appear on this podcast, you can be in touch with Marika to find out more. And if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you in the comments section. That concludes this edition of the Coaching Hour. From all of us to you, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye bye.